We're going to understand what burnout is in the insurance world. We're going to review some industry statistics on just the industry as a whole and then tied to burnout. We're going to identify risks of not having a solid work-life balance and what that can lead to. And we're going to learn a couple strategies for a long, sustainable, and successful career. Before we get started, I wanted to actually start with these 3 points, and I want you all to be thinking about these 3 questions as I go through the presentation, and hopefully we can have a little discussion at the end, but think about what your biggest work-life challenges are. Think about what agencies can improve upon pertaining to work-life balance challenges. And what changes can you implement this week that you possibly learned from this presentation, or maybe you think of something on your own as we work through this. So think about these 3 things. Jot down any other questions that may come up. Write them in the chat if you want to, so you don't forget. And we'll have a discussion at the end. So the nature of the insurance profession. Insurance is different than most other professions. Your clients expect your undivided attention, whether you're on the carrier side or the agency side. They spend a lot of money on insurance, and they want you when they need you, not when it is convenient for you, but when it is convenient for them. And I don't care what their premiums are. I don't care if you have clients that have higher premiums. In their eyes, they are paying too much for insurance. And this leads to them having very high and oftentimes unrealistic expectations of you. So, one nature of the insurance profession is very high client expectations. This gets worse in catastrophe situations. When I was on the insurance agency side, when we'd have a hailstorm in eastern New Mexico, our clients wanted immediate response for claims. At that point in time, they felt like they were the most important client that you had in your entire office. It's a difficult balance of making them feel special and taken care of when you have 50 to 60 other clients with the exact same issues. So catastrophes can really change the nature of your stress and workload. And as I mentioned earlier on the client expectations, insurance is always too expensive in your client's eyes. So they really, really need you at renewal times. And this can cause a lot of stress when you're having several policies that you have to remarket constantly. Especially those, many renewals happen January 1, July 1, and October 1, depending on when fiscal years fall, especially for commercial clients. And that can add a lot of pressure during those times. Compliance requirements. A lot of commercial clients have certain compliance requirements that they need your help with. This is a very important task that needs your best efforts. Many times it can mean, especially in the trucking world, where a client's truck may or may not get back on the road in a timely manner. So it's important that we're at our best in order to take care of our clients and their needs and getting them back on the road. We one time had a client that they were in the trucking business and they got to a state, and it turned out they did not have one of the requirements they needed to be on the road in that state. And luckily we were able to get them taken care of quickly and get them back on the road. So we were just ready and were able to take care of that. Constant communication. So let's be honest, the best and worst part about technology is constant communication. Smartphones and emails have made agents and CSRs constantly accessible. It's time that you start thinking of you first. It is not selfish. It's important. If you want to be, or if you are effective and efficient, your clients won't be leaving you if you don't pick up that phone at 7 p.m., I promise. So work and focus on being the most effective and efficient producer, CSR, whatever your role is. Be the best at what you do, and I promise your clients won't be leaving you. Workload statistics. Um, there's always different surveys being done within the insurance workforce. This particular study showed an 87% report increased workloads. 51% of people feel overwhelmed in their job, and 65% report frequent stress. These statistics can be attributed to many reasons in the insurance industry. Employees are often difficult to find and keep, which leads to the increased workloads for the employees that are in the office. And then because of the increased workload, that's where these statistics come in. You start to feel overwhelmed. You start to feel stressed. So you take on the increased workloads and tie that to the previous slide here with the nature of the insurance profession. And of course, you're going to have a lot of people that feel overwhelmed and stressed. And that's okay. Just remember, it is just a sheep in wolf's clothing. If we are prepared, we can cope with it and we can get through it. Independent agent responsibility. Independent agents write 62% of U.S. property and casualty insurance policies. This number is estimated to be much higher in rural states like New Mexico. A big part of that is because relationships matter more. CSRs and agents are looked at as advisors, risk managers, and claims advocates. These numbers make the previous statistics, these here, it helps them make a lot more sense because you are writing most of the business in New Mexico. There's many estimates on the commercial side that 80% of P&C policies are written by independent agencies. So you are trusted by these people to take care of their biggest assets. You are their advisors, you are their risk managers, and if a claim were to happen, you are now also their claims advocate, should they have one. A claim, especially a big one, is when they need you most. So that is when you need to be at your best, be attentive, be available. And of course, this can oftentimes lead to a tremendous amount of stress and burnout if it's not handled properly. Now, burnout doesn't happen overnight. It is a long, drawn-out process. Sometimes it can take months or years, but once it does hit you, the consequences can lead to many, many problems. So what is burnout? Burnout is defined by the World Health Organization as chronic workplace stress not successfully managed. So I want to point out here, chronic workplace stress. There are going to be times in your work life where you will have workplace stress. It becomes burnout when it is not successfully managed. And so that's one of the things we're really going to try to talk about here in a little bit of some ways to successfully manage this workplace stress so it does not turn into burnout. Symptoms include emotional exhaustion, reduced effectiveness, detachment from work, and not being present at home. We all get emotional exhaustion, reduced effectiveness, and detachment from work at times. But it's when these become regular that you are in a burnout stage of your work life. Being burned out at work often leads to not being present at home with friends and family. Stress becomes a snowball effect that just makes you more exhausted, um, more detached, not quite as attentive at work as you should be, which leads to reduced effectiveness. And this is definitely not healthy for people in the insurance industry. I would argue that it is not healthy for anyone in any industry. And so we have to start working on getting over these symptoms and avoiding burnout in any type of work life. I believe that we work in one of the greatest industries in the world, but it is difficult to find and keep people, especially good people. Talent shortages and retention efforts are two of the biggest challenges that many people face in our industry, both carrier and agency side. Paying attention to burnout would greatly help decrease the retention problem. Many of our employees love what they do, but burnout truly takes a toll. It takes a toll on our health and our mental health. And this can oftentimes lead to people leaving your place of business. There were times when I was on the agency side where I thought making a cup of coffee at Starbucks sounded quite great and relaxing. And it's not about laziness, it's about stress taking a toll on our bodies. So, as you can see on this slide, 50% of employees report burnout. So, half of people in the insurance business report feeling burned out. And almost 4 out of 10 have considered leaving their job in a business that we really can't handle that. This is a big problem for our industry. But there are ways to help stop the burnout and retain our employees. I want you to remember these statistics if a similar conversation comes up within your office with a colleague or even a friend or family member, and make sure that you slow down and have sympathy and understanding for them because burnout is a big issue, especially on our mental health. So have sympathy and understanding and help people get through those difficult times. Productivity versus work hours. Longer hours might mean that more work is being completed, but it does not mean that quality work is being completed. As you can read here, studies show that after 55 hours of productivity, or after 55 hours of work, productivity just plateaus. So you're not doing any work of quality at that point. If you're working 60 or more hours per week, your productivity actually begins to have a negative effect. And we definitely can't have that in the insurance industry because we all know what non-quality, tired, exhausted work can lead to in the insurance business. The dreaded E&O risk. When we're tired, we have mental fatigue. When we feel overwhelmed, when we are stressed, we tend to miss small details. In the insurance industry, that can cause an enormous risk and could lead to the errors and omissions policy having to pay out. Many years ago, I took a CIC class, and I'll never forget one of the instructors, and it's just stuck with me that we were talking through different ways or different claim situations, and he was asking if it was covered. And one example was a client calls in to add a trailer onto the policy, but the agent never got the information relayed to the carrier. So is it covered? And of course, the class said no. And he started a thing where he would say, yes, it is covered, but it's covered under your E&O policy. And that is not what we want. We want to avoid that. It's very important for managers to understand this risk and make sure the staff is well rested, engaged, and ready to work. We have so many details that we have to pay attention to in this industry. There's policy details, endorsements that come in that need to be accurate, documentation. You need to document all of these things. When you have client communication, you have to document it. Many times it's because they need an endorsement or perhaps they are asking questions on their policy. Any sort of fatigue increases your error risk. This is where burnout can really hurt you and your agency. These are some of the top E&O claims that are filed. Failure to procure coverage, failure to advise, administrative errors, and documentation failures. So let's look at an example. This example can be an error that being burned out and being overwhelmed or stressed can lead to. A client calls in with a request for an endorsement on a Friday afternoon. The week has already been crazy. They jot down a few notes. They get back to what they were previously doing to try to finish up their Friday. And then they go home and enjoy the weekend. And they have delayed processing that endorsement. They get back in the office Monday to a stack of papers. The workload is overwhelming. The endorsement was forgot. And that producer or CSR does not remember any of that until the call comes with a claim. This is a very helpless feeling. We actually had a situation like this in our office when I was in the agency. We had a bank insured that called in to insure an auto, and our CSR actually did do all the agency management side, entered it into our AMS system, did every process except forward that endorsement onto the insurance carrier. And the auto was in an accident. The bank called our office. We looked on the agency management system, said yes, that auto is covered. Called the insurance carrier and realized that they were never given that information. Luckily for us in that situation, we showed them all of our agency management time stamped info, and the carrier did honor that auto being on the vehicle, charged them the premium, the back due premium, and paid the claim. So we got lucky, but there was some burnout that led to that possibility of that becoming an E&O claim, and that is a very helpless and terrifying experience, especially on the ownership side. Hard markets. We are in what seems like a never-ending hard market in New Mexico. Here are a few characteristics of a hard market. Excuse me. And many of these can make life difficult and stressful. You have rising premiums, you have a reduced carrier appetite, and you have coverage restrictions. Hard markets can be very stressful. Phone calls increase with every renewal. Why is my premium so high? Why is it going up so much? Why can't I drop this coverage to save money? Why will no other carrier give me a quote? There's oftentimes a chance that you can't help these people at all, and that is a very difficult situation to be in. This adds unwanted stress to your life, and I believe in our industry, the nature of the insurance industry, our people are all of a very caring nature. We want to help people, and it honestly kind of hurts when we aren't able to. It makes us feel bad. We feel like we've let someone down, and this can oftentimes lead to a lot of stress. So you're in a hard market and you're getting all of these phone calls at renewal, which leads to your increased marketing. So you go out and you spend lots of time remarketing all these. Well, now your client's asking all these questions about why doesn't anybody want to cover me? Why is it so expensive? And you're having to educate your clients on this information. And then there's that chance that you can't help them. So the stress just continues to go up and up and up. Um, and this cycle really doesn't end. It makes it very difficult to um, help that client whenever you know that you truly can't. It's stressful. So, insurance employee work myth. Success requires constant work. This is such a big myth, but I do feel like so many people want you to believe that. They want you to believe that success requires constant work. I think it's a capitalist mindset. I think it is completely false. And I think the reality is that success requires boundaries. Success requires productivity and efficiency. Success requires you to do what you need to do in order to get the job complete and correct. So, how do we do that? How do we become successful and sustainable employees, managers, or owners? Well, here's just a few ways. And again, as we go through some of these, you might come up with your own ways to manage some of this. But schedule your day. Spend 5 minutes every morning just scheduling and planning out your day. I do this every morning. I make a list of what I need to do with the goals and a time frame. It's not a check off to-do list. It is truly scheduling out my day of things I need to get done and a time frame of when and how to do them. Protect your personal time. While you're scheduling in your day, make sure you schedule in your breaks and your lunch and actually use them. There are so many people that just avoid lunch, and even if you're not going to go eat, you have to make sure that you protect your personal time. It is yours. Use it and don't feel guilty about it. It makes you a better employee in the long run. In this business, there's always tomorrow. So unless you have that endorsement that you don't want to forget about, just go home when the clock strikes quitting time, whatever that may be, because the work isn't going anywhere. But it might not be as quality if you stay extra hours and you're exhausted. Delegate small tasks if possible. I understand that this can't work for everybody, and there's some tasks that you just simply cannot delegate. But when it is possible, please delegate those small tasks and move on to what you need to be doing based on the schedule that you've created for your day. And please take your paid time off. That is what it is for. Leave, go on vacation, stay home, watch a movie, start a hobby that you've always wanted to start. But your PTO is there for a reason. So please use it. You are much better off taking that brain break than you are trying to work 60, 65 hours a week nonstop. Agency culture. Work-life balance is definitely influenced by your agency culture. What are the leadership expectations? What are your time off policies? And what type of technology use is within your agency? I do understand a lot of this is out of your control, but the best employers and managers understand this juggling act. It's very important to have time off. It's important for the leaders to encourage this time off, including your breaks during the day, including your lunch hour. Again, it's important. Take that time off. Don't let technology slow you down in your day to day. I know that this can add a lot of stress into your life. I know many of you probably do, and I know we use multi-factor authentication or MFA for many of the apps that we have to log into. But don't let that stop your day. Don't let it be a roadblock. For me, I turn off my phone notifications. That way, when I need an MFA, I don't then stop at Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat and LinkedIn and try to see what notifications I may have missed. And I just turn those notifications off and have my phone face down when I don't need it so it doesn't buzz at me. Because all the buzz is there to do is to distract you. They want you to open those apps. So be bigger than that and don't let that happen. Stay focused, stay efficient, and get your work done. In the long run, it leads to a less stressful and less overwhelmed work life. Some helpful agency policies. Rotating after hours calls, if this is applicable. Flexible scheduling. Encouraging breaks. Allowing time for association events. I'm going to say that one again. Allowing time for association events. We love to see all of you at these things. So hopefully you're allowed to, and that it is a great brain break whenever we have these events throughout time. And then encouraging PTO. Take your vacation. These policies within an agency can go a very long way for team morale and retention. Time is money, and too many times employees don't take advantage of the time off. Being with your friends and family is more valuable than money. Sometimes being alone is more valuable than money. So if you're not taking advantage of your agency's policies, that is a you problem. I had an employee that was often stressed out, but would not take a day off because we at that time paid them for their unused PTO. And thinking on that now, I don't know how great of a strategy that is, because some people want to stay and have that cash when really they're a more effective employee if they take that time off and come back refreshed. Because being with your friends and family is important, and a healthy mind is definitely more valuable than money. Generational expectations. The younger generations definitely want more work flexibility. They want a purpose-driven work, which I believe we are in a very purpose-driven work. Our job is to help people, and many of those people don't even understand that that's what we do until we see a claim and they need us. And work-life balance is very important. This can be achieved with solid leadership and understanding. Leaders, employers, hiring managers need to pay attention to these trends. Work-life balance is often more important than the dollars. Now, I'm not saying to go out there and completely underpay and make work-life balance the main offer, but we do need to sell the employee on the fact that we care about their home life and their well-being. And for you employees out there, don't be afraid to stress this belief, but just make sure you frame it in a way that they understand. Use the statistics about burnout and retention in our industry. But if you want to do this tactic, you better make sure that you are on your A game and you are the most effective and efficient employee that is in that office whenever you get back from your time off. So take the time off, but get the job finished and finish properly. It's estimated that 400,000 employees will retire in the next 15 years. That is approximately half of the insurance industry workforce. Less than 25% of the current workforce is under the age of 35. So what is the answer? Well, I don't know all of the answers, but as an industry, we must get over the traditional workday and work week to attract talent. Our local school district here in Portales recently went to a 4-day work week, and it's because they were losing employees to the small school districts that are around us who had already adopted the Monday through Thursday work week schedule. Work-life balance is number one on many people's list, especially the younger generations. So it's time we start to adjust for this. It's not the only answer to close the insurance talent and age gap, but it is a big part of the answer. Now let's talk about some professional boundaries when you are in the office. It's important that you communicate your expectations with your clients. This greatly helps in letting them know that you are not a 24/7 service. You can express sympathy with them when necessary, but hold your own boundaries. This might sound crazy to some of you, but maybe you schedule call times, say from 9 to 11:30 and 2:30 to 5, and that's when you accept phone calls. Other than that, you're focused working on your um, paperwork that's in front of you. You can always express to your clients that something like that doesn't apply during an emergency, but you need to advise them that they need to leave a message if it isn't during those times. So with your clients, make sure that you have defined office hours, that they know when they can get in touch with you. Client expectations, it's not what they expect of you, but what you expect of the client. If you if you do not share these expectations with your client, then they will train you. So do not let them train you. It's important that you train your clients, and that leads to a healthier, less stressful work-life balance. So I know technology is all around us, and it seems like every day I'm approached with the latest and greatest technology that's going to help the association just continue to climb and climb and climb. But technology is available to help. So I promise if your agency has a piece of technology, they did not buy that technology just to buy it. Somebody took the time to sit through a webinar. Somebody listened to what the technology can improve on and make you more efficient at. And so if they took the time to scrub that product and they made sure that it's going to be efficient for the office, then you need to learn how to use it. Don't be stuck in old ways just because it's what you're used to. Efficiency is the key to work-life balance. These are just a few ideas of technology solutions, agency management systems, client portals, automation, and AI, if your agency allows it. If they have policies around AI, make sure you are using them within your agency's policies. But technology is there to help you, so use it. Be more efficient, be more effective. Time management. The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. Maybe every morning for 5 minutes over a cup of coffee. Schedule your priorities. Time management is a misnomer. The challenge is to manage ourselves. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. If you don't plan your time, someone else will help you waste it. One always has time enough if one will apply it well. Again, schedule your day. I am a quote guy. I love quotes, and these quotes really hit home with me. I used to greatly struggle with time management, or as Stephen Covey wisely points out, that I actually struggled managing myself. And I've worked really hard to correct this. So a couple strategies I use. Every Monday morning, I create what I call my weekly war plan. It consists of my one main big objective for the week, 3 support actions to meet my goal, one thing I must avoid that week, one person I will strengthen with love and encouragement, and my weekly win condition. And then, as I've said throughout this presentation, every single morning I lay out my schedule, hour by hour, keeping my weekly plan in mind. I have become much more efficient, less distracted, and have freed up time to be able to advance myself and the association. Here's a balance framework. Now, this balance framework is an agreement with yourself because there are 2 things that you can control in life. 2. Think about them. What might they be? Type something in the chat if you want, but there are 2 things that you control in life. That is your attitude and your effort. These are the only 2 things that you can control. So why do we always blame outside obstacles for our lack of attitude and effort? Hell, take care of yourself. How can you have a good work-life balance if the life part of your balance is never feeling well? Taking time off to lay in bed because you're sick. Um, it really, all that does is continue to stress you out even more. So Take care of yourself, take care of your health. Relationships. Find ways to grow important relationships. If you're working with at a relationship that turns out to not be important or always feels negative, it's okay to move on. You don't need that stress in your life, and it's not worth trying to balance the negativity in certain relationships. Professional growth. If you are not growing, you're dying. All of you on this call today, I believe, show some interest in professional growth. Otherwise, you wouldn't have taken the time to be on the call with us. And then personal purpose. Find the purpose in your life. I ponder this question often, and my personal purpose has changed several times and will probably change again. But that's the growing process of life. But once you find the purpose of the time that you're in, your purpose of today, make sure you live it to the fullest all the way until that purpose changes. And these are 4 pillars that can help you live that personal purpose out. So key takeaways, work-life balance improves productivity, it improves efficiency, it improves client service, and career longevity. But just make sure you're having fun while making it all come together. Remember that balancing productivity, which is the volume that is produced, with efficiency, that is the quality and optimization of the process to produce the output or productivity. When those two work together perfectly, it frees up time. Then you can focus on your client service portion of your life and be able to do it in the best possible and efficient way that you can, and in a way that makes the client feel special. If you focus on yourself and change your mindset from problem to opportunity, the sheep and wolves clothing, to balance your work life with your home life, you will have a long, happy, successful career, and you're going to have a lot of fun while doing it. So my final thoughts before we head over to a quick discussion. Insurance professionals protect others from risk. We must also protect our own well-being. These two things here go 100% hand in hand. So make sure you protect your own well-being so that you can protect others from risk. Once again, I do love quotes, so we're going to end with this wonderful quote from Dolly Parton. Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life. So, discussion questions. There we go. We have some things in the chats here. Okay, does anyone have anything that they would like to add or say? Does anyone have any biggest work-life challenges that they are currently facing in their current job situation? Any ideas of ways agencies can improve what they do when it comes to work life, or what changes, any ideas of any changes that you can implement this week? And I don't know, and if you can't unmute, I am sorry. I believe it's set up to where you can if you are interested. Um, and if not, if there is no discussion or no questions, then I would just like to thank you all for your time. I do really appreciate okay, we do have something in the chat. We never close for long weekends. Okay. Um, I understand not closing for a long weekend. I see both sides of it. Many times your clients are off And so maybe being open Memorial Day weekend feels like something that can really be helpful for your clients. Maybe on those long weekends, you start working through like a rotation where not everybody comes in on those long weekends, and make sure that you let the employees out of equal time to go enjoy some extra days. That could be a solution to help with the work-life balance. All right. Thank you, Vivian. I hope it was a good reminder of the need to balance work and home life, because it is truly so important, and it really does help you be the best employee that you can be. Eva, why is it so hard to keep young employees, get them licensed, and they leave and say insurance is not for them? How do you encourage them? Um, that is a very difficult question. I think it some oftentimes goes beyond the work-life balance. Insurance seems scary. It seems difficult. Uh, it is definitely the sheep's and wolves clothing idea, because as those of us that have been in the industry for quite a while know that it's not. It's actually one of the best industries that you can be in. Um, I do think the work-life balance and the support can go a very long ways. I feel oftentimes in the insurance industry that we do not train well enough. And that's where I would love for all you guys to start using us as the association. I am constantly working on courses. I'm working on a licensing test prep class right now. And so it is scary and it is confusing. Thank you, Debbie, for chiming in on that. It is, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's very difficult to keep young employees. Um, uh, I know my teenage son, he wants life to be easy, and they all feel that way, and it simply isn't. It takes work, it takes grit, and I think we do lack in the training area of the insurance world. I was guilty of it whenever I owned an agency. Um, it's important to spend that money and spend that time with that employee and get them educated and get them comfortable in what they do, so they don't move on. And again, reach out to the association in situations like that, and we're working on ways to help with that. Yes, and Vivian is pointing out a great point there. Good mentorship, that goes to the training portion of it, and it can help them not feel overwhelmed. And maybe some of these, maybe that mentor can sit down and help them map out their day every morning, and get that time frame and get them thinking, and make sure they do go take their breaks and take a walk and get outside and come back in with a fresh brain, and hopefully that will help start uh, taking out some of that stress and overwhelmed feeling, and help them stay in the industry. Because Eva, it's a huge problem, and it's not just where you are, it is across the board in the industry. And so we are we are constantly working and trying to be your answer here at the association. Well, thank you all so much for being here. If there are no other questions, no other chats, I truly appreciate your time and your engagement there at the end. We couldn't do what we do without all of you. I hope you are able to take something away from this presentation. If you enjoyed it, remember it will go on our website. It will probably be next week that it's out there and posted. And so I hope you all have a wonderful, great weekend. If you get a long weekend, um, make sure that you enjoy it and you enjoy it safely. This is kind of the kickoff to summer. So have fun, be safe, and we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.